Oh, now we're live. I've just realised that I really should have done something with my hair tonight. I was just looking, thinking, flipping toilet roll in the side there. Had a little bit of an accident on the way up, a little bit of a spillage, and it's non-alcoholic.
And that was just the bottle.
Well, listen, welcome to High G's on this fine Thursday evening. It's 8 p.m. and I've got a very special guest with me, and I've got a special guest with me in High G's tonight, again for the second week running, and I'm super excited to welcome him and introduce him to you. So who is it? Well, I was thinking earlier on how long I've known this gentleman. I'll let him tell you later, but it's a long time. In fact, in the way of firsts, I think that tonight's guest probably has known me longer than anybody else that I've had on the JFDI podcast. Teacher, trumpeter, top runner, football fan, brother-in-law, music lover, Jack Daniels man. That's what I wrote down. Let me introduce to you my brother-in-law, Mr. Darren Ramsay, in High G's with me. How you doing?
I'm great, thank you.
There you go. I've only got about 3/4 of a bottle now. The rest's on the floor.
Cheers. I'm not spilling any of this. Don't worry about that.
Oh, dear. Thank you for coming along.
You're welcome.
How you feeling?
Nervous?
Are you?
Yeah.
It's just a chat. Forget them. It's just us. We're all good. I'm excited to go through these songs. I didn't actually ask you earlier on, did I? I normally say, is there anything that you don't want me to ask you?
Do I have an actual choice in that?
Yeah, of course you do.
But that wouldn't be a normal conversation, then, would it? Or you mean just because this is going out live?
Well, so we're going to do music. We're going to do music, and then we see where the music takes us. And it's 4 or 5. I was explaining to Darren earlier on. I've invited some more guests who are trying to request more songs. It works like this: 4 or 5. Darren has got 5, and we go straight into them. That's all. You don't need 6 or 7. How difficult was it?
Yeah, difficult. I think choosing music for me is always difficult because there's so much to choose from, and as a musician and as a music teacher, that music for me changes all the time, and I listen to so many different things, so many different styles, and I'm not necessarily influenced by one particular kind of thing. So when you say like choose 5 that kind of mean something, or I don't know, just stick out for you, that was pretty hard.
How many times did you change them?
A few. It was more sort of deleting things off, or kind of wondering whether I should bring something in, just because. So
change them a bit. When I did mine last week, I woke up at like 2 a.m. and then changed it all around at the last minute, and I was like, oh, how could I not remember that song? Anyway, let's go straight in with the first one. So I love this song as well. Jump by Van Halen.
Yeah.
So why this one?
School concert. It was in S6, and the next day was a talent show in the school, and a couple of friends had said, why don't we put something into the talent show, bearing in mind this is like the night before, and also bearing in mind that as much as I'm a musician, you said trumpeter, I play trumpet, play piano. As much as I can sing,
I didn't want to say
I'm not a singer.
I didn't want to see. I thought about this, and I didn't want to put pianist in there just because it doesn't. Well, I mean, I could have, but it's like, and if your introduction, no, I thought people might thought I was saying something else.
No, not at all. So yeah, I don't know why we chose this song, and my good friend Andrew was going to play keys.
Yeah.
And I just remember on the day of it, we didn't even have a guitarist up until we were just about to walk on stage.
Yeah. So was this all in? This is like in Park Main's theatre.
This was in the theatre, yeah.
At Erskine, that is now no longer there because it's been destroyed.
And on the morning of it, a guy who was always round about the music department played guitar, and we're like, do you know it's Van Halen song? Because a big guitar solo on it. And he's like, yeah. And I think I was more amazed about his ability and skill to come on the stage. And basically, we hadn't rehearsed this at all. We basically went on and
did this guy just kill it?
Totally. We performed this song and won the talent show. So I don't know whether it was people felt sorry for us or we were just entertaining more than musically entertaining. So it's always kind of stuck in my head since.
Have you played it? Have you played it live? Have you played it live since then?
No.
Never.
I don't think I've sung live like properly since. Maybe some of the backing vocals, but nothing solo wise.
Crikey. So that would have been S6. When would that have been? Like 1980.
I'm going to say 89 or 1990.
Yeah,
probably.
Right, 89, 90. So at that point in your life, what else was kind of going on? Well, here's one for you. Around that time, and you might have already answered the question. Was there something that you had in your mind as like profession? This is what I want to do. Did you have a dream back then?
Well, there was two things that I wanted to do. I wanted to be a pilot. That's possibly just every wee boy's dream. And then I get heavily involved in music, both through my kind of my early years, and then when I went to Park Mains because there was such a big music tradition going on. So it's a bit kind of weird, like a pilot or musician.
Where did you have any sort of ideas of like where that could lead? Did you kind of map it out and think, oh, I'd love to, 5 years down the road in that, or
no? I don't think.
I
don't think so. I just
what do I need to do to get there?
Yeah, and possibly young, possibly naive.
Yeah,
I don't know whether that would change nowadays, or if that was just me. But for me, it was kind of like I want to be a professional trumpet player. I want to be a classically trained trumpet player, and unfortunately, perhaps didn't look at kind of a bigger or wider picture. With that as well, and that might have just been the times. Kind of growing up, or as I say, it might have just have been me being kind of young and not so kind of aware of the wider world, and it might have just been the world we were living in. At the time.
You see, back then, at that time, right, we're talking about music. Did you listen to like a lot of study trumpet music and and like more popular songs that had was there any songs that kind of had you sold on the trumpet, or was there
no, I don't
listen to
think
jazz
so.
or like any
just a love of music, full stop.
And
I think that's always been the thing. That's the thing that's really hard for me is like, obviously I'll look at kind of like yourself, who has this kind of really wide knowledge of music and appreciation, which I feel like I've got a wide appreciation. But in terms of specific things that I hook into, I kind of feel like I move from one thing to another. And it's not ever been, one specific genre or one specific person or band. And that's kind of difficult, like kids to me in school will say, something about that, what's your favorite music? And I'll say to them, for me, when you leave school, I want you to leave with an appreciation. And that means an ability to analyze what you hear and be able to kind of break it down so that you understand it. And then you can make your opinion based on, your likes and dislikes after that. So
interesting. A kind of like slightly different sort of take, isn't it? It's like just coming at it from and I've always said that. It's like I remember what gig was it that we went to in the academy, was it an Embrace gig? And I remember the descriptions when we came out, and I was like, it's. I think it's called having a knowledge of my knowledge of music is like flipping blaming records when it's
I
like
don't know.
that.
You listen to music and you appreciate it.
Yeah.
I kind of bumped into this pupil, and this guy didn't study music. I taught him probably in the late 90s. He went on to be a plumber, I think, and I literally bumped into him on a train, and I was going to a football match in Glasgow, and he'd been having a few beers, and he kind of looked at me and was like, I know you, Mr. Ramsay. And one thing stuck with me. He was like, he said, you know, I'll never forget how you've made me listen to music. And that meant a big thing to me.
Yeah.
Because that's kind of what I'm, what I'd like young people to take away from music. And here's this guy who didn't study music, at school. I don't mean, beyond school, but even within kind of the curriculum, sort of beyond any particular level. But he'd taken away this ability to kind of analyze and listen to things. And I thought, that's what it means to me to be a musician, to be able to pass that on.
Yeah.
Not necessarily, that you need to go and be a big player or a big performer.
Yeah.
But just kind of that enjoyment of it.
See, it's nice to hear that as well, isn't it? Kind of good to hear it. Have you ever had anybody? Well, you might not want to answer this one. I'm going to say, have you ever had anybody who's left a school that you've been at, that you've seen like years down the line, who's kind of gone, that's that Ramsay, but it's more of a, there's that Ramsay bastard.
I don't know. Possibly. There was one time I was driving up the road in the town where I teach, and had the window down the car. Must have been a summer evening.
Yeah.
And someone shouted, Mr. Ramsay. I thought, great. So I put my hand out the window and waved, and he shouted, wanker! So, but at least he said Mr. Ramsay, so I had a wee bit of respect. Very good. I would have enjoyed that one myself, I think.
Do you know, I've heard some of the stories. I think all I'm saying to you, to anybody that teaches, I take my hat off that I don't have on, because it is a job within the school environment, and especially the school environment as it is now. It's I don't want to say patience of the saint, but I think it takes a very and I don't want to say special, but it takes a because I don't want you to get, but you know what I mean. I think it's the patience, the understanding, and the ability, and desire to teach our the next generation, the younger generation. I take my hat off. I think it's a wonderful thing.
You've got to want to do it, definitely. I think you asked me to start with, that I kind of set out to be, or in my mind, my young mind, to be a classical musician.
Yeah.
And I never saw myself as a teacher.
Yeah.
But I would never not do that job now.
Yeah.
It's amazing how things can do change.
Yeah. And you never know, you're only a youngster as well. that classical musician, and
I think for me now,
where would that go? Where could that go? Right, say the dream in that. Well, obviously the theatre and stuff like that is a big hot thing at the moment. But what's the pinnacle of, like, what would a dream look like in that sense now?
I don't know, because I think I'm pretty much doing my dream job now.
Yeah.
So that's great for me. So and now is the ability to try and kind of open young people's minds up to lots of different opportunities. So for me, unfortunately, I was kind of down this one track of thinking I was going to be or wanting to be, a professional classical trumpet player, and I probably should have been thinking wider sphere than that, even at a young age. And I don't know whether that's just because as I say, like my own inability to kind of see a wider world, or just as I say, the times that we were kind of living in, or being brought up in at that point, or just a kind of, I don't know, a snobbery. I don't know. So yeah, nowadays I kind of, and also there's it's a difficult sphere to be in, as I suppose are many kind of vocations. You hear so much nowadays about people going into the world and expect them to be doing maybe 4 or 5 different jobs throughout their life, whereas I think in our sort of time it was like you left school and you perhaps were going to go into that job forever,
for life.
So
I read a book that spoke a lot about that kind of new sort of phase. It was called 100-Year Life, and it kind of it made me stand back, because it was basically the premise behind the book was, look, you're reading this, our sort of age group, your children are quite, more than likely have a very high percentage chance of reaching 100 years old because of the advances in, the way that people look after their health, obviously in medical care, but the attention that people are now taking, generally trying to look after themselves better. And so it's saying that life expectancy can be expected to go up to like 100. And it broke it down, talking about those sort of like, different phases of life. It was quite eye-opening, amazing. And you think, crikey, we might not get half of that, or we might again. I don't know, you're not 50 yet. Anyway, I was going to go on to your next song, but just what you were talking about there, it was a question down here. It kind of fits very much in what you're saying, and about kind of that desire to just continue to help educate, guide the next generation. This question, particularly in the last couple of years, I reckon relates to this. What would you say is the biggest challenge? Now, I mean, whether it is the obvious one here, or with something more specifically, but what would you say is the biggest sort of challenge that you've faced in the last couple of years in regards, like doing that job, or
I think possibly a kind of realization, or as you say, really thinking about what you want to do. And that's kind of what I was going to say about young people. And I think some of the things that we kind of miss are like, we're always striving for something new, for something else, for more information, which a lot of it is really important, but I think we miss on educating about being happy and content in what you have achieved and what you will achieve, and what will kind of fulfill you. And for me, that's like answering your question. Even going into teaching profession and thinking, right, well, what's next? I want to be head of department. Okay, 5 years head of department. All right, okay, what's next? Work hard, be a deputy head, right? And all of a sudden, that kind of time where I'm sat and thinking, this is not actually making me happy. Yeah, okay, I'm working with young people. I can see the relevance of what I'm doing. I can see the impact perhaps on what I'm making with young people, or with my colleagues, or in a school. But actually, why am I continuing to kind of strive for something that I don't actually think I really want to do? I need to go back to what I really really loved doing, and that was kind of working with young people, being a teacher. Okay, maybe being a leader within that setting, but not necessarily kind of driving towards sort of being a head teacher. So yeah, that big thought of, I mean, whether I would have ever, made it to a head teacher position or been considered for one, just that drive towards it was like, well, what am I doing? Why am I doing this? So that's been a
What
kind of
kind
a big
of
challenge.
what kind of thought process did you go through when kind of like obviously weighing up? Because it's like, you know, it's like bit of a
You're
kind of
talking thought
change, isn't it? You're
thought
kind of
process here and me.
yeah.
I think the thought process was
Yeah.
Fiona saying to me, "Why are you looking at music teacher jobs and not head teacher jobs?" And I was like, "Yeah, that's a good point, Fiona."
Yeah.
And then a position came up that I felt kind of suited me.
Yeah.
And I kind of felt pretty passionate about doing, so
Yeah.
applied for it and was lucky to get it. And some people would see that as a demotion, if you like, or stepping back.
Yeah.
But I didn't. I just thought it was a decision to do something that I really wanted to do.
Yeah.
Like kind of, you know, and I say like we don't do jobs, you know, like the same job for forever. And I guess teaching perhaps maybe a little bit different,
Yeah.
although there are different types of jobs you can do within teaching. But it was a choice to do the job that I wanted to do.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's sometimes it's like it's the maybe not knowing, just the I'm doing this because I know it's going to make me happier than I am at the moment. I'll enjoy doing it, and see that I guess it's the other benefits that you potentially don't maybe expect that you can experience along the way there. I'm guessing, you know, that there was a few unexpected sort of positives or benefits throughout that journey that you kind of went, oh,
Yeah, I mean, don't get me wrong, like the spending time doing quite a bit of study, educational study and educational reading,
yeah,
really kind of broadened things for me. Also, possibly put a lot of kind of scaffolding into place of things that I perhaps thought I did
yeah,
almost instinctively, but I was learning about. So that kind of really strengthened me in the job that I was doing. And despite the fact that I wasn't then going to use that to take
yeah.
the next step, I don't know.
Allows you a little bit of time to step back as well, I'm guessing, like kind of, because, you know, like, it's not a step back, almost for reflection and a kind of a just a slightly different view on the world, right?
Yeah.
See, a leap of faith, almost, I'd like to call it. It's kind of not, and you don't know unless you do it, but if it's going to make you happy. Should we do the next song?
Yeah. Have you played these songs?
Yeah.
All right, I'll do.
What, on here? Did I not explain that bit to you?
No.
We can't play them on. We can't play them on here. Although we'll talk later about where we can play them and where we can use this, and you can listen to us chatting and you saying, "I'm Darren Ramsay, and this is my second song." If you do that right down the pipe there, then I'll use it on Regal Radio. Go on, go on, do the intro.
I can't even remember what you said now.
Never going to give you up, Rick Astley.
Oh, jeez. Yeah.
So go on, give me your Rick roll. That's
Rick
for
roll?
Charlotte. Yeah, Rick roll me.
I didn't even know what it was. It's my first year's last year taught me about it. That was Rick rolled. And it kind of just made me laugh that it's a song that kind of stuck with me like when it first came out. And there you go, it's still going.
For anybody that needs to know what Rick rolling is, you'll need to help me get my daughter Charlotte on here. She can explain what Rick rolling actually is, as she did to us at dinner.
Yeah.
What it took about 10 minutes to go through it. Now, what Rick rolling really is, anyway. So, what's your personal attachment to Mr. Astley?
I don't know.
Do you know? Do you know that? Well, you might not.
80s music. Probably.
Do you know that Rick Astley was on here last week as well?
Was he? But the same song?
No, it was Rick Astley's version of "When I Fall in Love."
Right.
You know the Nat King Cole song?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. You need to go and watch my podcast to know the story about why it was Rick Astley. I can't believe he's been in High G's twice. One's yours and one's mine. So is it that time that it reminds you of, or is it his dulcet tones?
Like,
were you into him?
What do you mean into him?
Like his music.
I was into that song. I like that song.
Right.
I told you, don't ask me to put these 5 songs down. The first one stuck in my head because I thought, I sang it, and we won a talent show.
Yeah.
Although talent, that must be a loose kind of description of it. And then just kind of, so I then guess I kind of went on a not too far kind of travelled distance from that first one.
Oh, okay.
When I picked Rick Astley, it must have been
right
way back in the time. In the day.
What do you remember of those Stockache and Waterman days? Because you would have been. What would you have been doing? What would you have been doing in school? What do you remember about school back then? Outside music.
In terms of what?
In terms of like
trying not to get the shit kicked out of me.
Well, here's one I wrote down here. It's a bit self-indulgent, but I don't actually know. I'm not sure I've ever asked you this. What your earliest recollection of me was?
Probably that.
What? Trying to kick the shit out of you?
No, I'd probably just try to avoid it. Luckily, Park Mains, for anyone who's out there and listening, knows has got a kind of big musical tradition. So actually, not that I'm saying music was seen as something cool, but at least all the band geeks, I feel like, were protected by other people.
All right.
Who saw music as a strong thing. Well, that's my defence on that one.
I had never even considered that. Never. Mind you, I guess I was neither in a position to be protecting anybody, and I certainly wasn't in a position to be a band geek. The closest I got was trying to ask for a stereo. I was like, Mum and Dad, Fiona's got a saxophone. Could I have like a stacking system, please? Bugger off.
We should have got an expensive one for that, I think.
Yes. So, yeah, sorry, carry on.
School.
Protection. Who was like the mafia? Who was like who was the like band mafia?
Oh, there was many.
Was there?
Many. Practicing probably.
Yeah.
Hanging out in the music department, which was a real kind of social scene. There was a kind of lot of socialising going on.
Yeah.
Out with that.
Any band camp stories?
Oh.
American Pie type?
Dear.
I bet there is.
Yeah, possibly.
Let's just have a look and see if we've got any comments on here.
It's a bit boring. It's going to be short and I can get back to the bar.
You can get back to the bar. Tell me about George Michael and Playing for Time.
I don't know. I just loved George Michael's music. Just loved George Michael. Kind of probably wanted. No, don't say that. I was going to say I wanted to be George Michael until he was frequenting gents' toilets later on.
You got to see him though, didn't you?
Yeah, latterly. When I coughed up some dosh and took Fiona to
what was that like?
See him. It was fantastic. Actually, I was kind of saying to Fiona, I was like, I'm not paying this money to go to this gig. It's too much.
Yeah.
I just thought it was kind of rip off, and it was outstanding. It was the Symphonica tour, which I think was the last thing that he did. But I don't know whether people would kind of laugh at the fact that I was like listening to George Michael, in the 80s, early 80s. But he was a tremendous musician. And a lot of powerful things that he wrote as well. So it's kind of stuck with me. And I think that's what I'll always say to kids as well. Like, don't be embarrassed about what you listen to. Not that's my cover. But like, go out there and listen to stuff. And some of it will stick with you, and some of it will mean something to you. So
go and do it.
That's just a
wide variety.
Well, I don't know if it is. I'm taking high G's to another place.
So is there? Let's have a look. Is there a story attached I mean, this next song here does just kind of speak for itself. It's Robbie Williams, Angels.
Yeah, well, I always thought he was mince at singing anyway. So, however, I think it's a really great song.
Yeah.
It's a lovely song, and it's one that we had, Fiona and I had as a wedding dance, our first dance. So, and I'm not saying that's why it's on there. It's not.
She's watching, you know. But it is on there.
I'm in a loft. She's gonna come up the stairs. Probably actually. Yeah, no, I still think it's a fantastic song. Probably word wise for me.
It's all in the words, isn't it? What do you remember? So what do you remember about that day? From the start of
Probably
the day?
Drinking champagne about 10 o'clock in the morning, I think, with you and Andrew Dickey.
Crikey.
Probably something there, I think.
10 o'clock in the morning. That would explain a few things to me.
Just the usual day.
What is there a picture from the day that kind of what sticks in your mind?
There's a cracking picture of me, best man, and the groomsmen outside the venue. And it was just sort of taken off the cuff. We'd asked the photographer, like, we didn't want necessarily all these posed pictures, although we knew that, you know, that would kind of be something that would be done and would be a nice thing to have, but we wanted them to kind of capture shots of just what was happening during the day. So there's a very kind of natural one of four of us, goodness knows what we were talking about or sharing.
Is that the one that you've got on the up in the hall?
It's in our hall, yeah.
I know the picture you mean.
So it's kind of, I don't know, it's nice. I know I probably should be saying it's Fiona and I in the car and etc. But it just, for me, it just captures.
Do you remember what the guy said to you just before?
Yeah.
No. Because see, that's a question for Andrew. Or
it's a female photographer, by the way, Graham.
Was it?
Yeah.
Oh my God, that shows you what
Champagne at 10 o'clock in the morning.
Good grief, crikey! I wanted to ask you about running, and like your kind of sort of, I don't want to say exercise regime, but you love running, and you've been more into it, you know, as you've got gracefully older, right? But whereabouts did that? When did you kind of like get the bug? How did that kind of come about?
I think it was the day that my gran said to me, "Oh, son, you get fatter every time I see you." that gave me a bit of a boost to maybe get my fat arse out and do a bit of exercise. So yeah, I started running at that point, and really that the battle of running was just to kind of counterbalance going to the fridge, or the pub, or both.
And it stuck.
Yeah, it's stuck because I also now use it as a time where I can get to think as well, and listen to stuff, whether that be music or podcasts or and just kind of think and sort out the day, and sometimes run with other people and you know, just talk and just get kind of get things off your chest, I suppose.
Just blow the cobwebs away.
Yeah. So
do you have one running memory that stands out above all the others? And by the way, I'm not fishing for an Edinburgh Marathon compliment.
What, you beat me in the Edinburgh Marathon?
I wasn't going to say that.
I was that was a hard day. First marathon. Obviously, we'd done a lot of training together. We'd done the training plan, and
don't you dare mention Linlithgow Canal.
Oh yeah,
and
the one socked runner. Beware. I'll certainly be aware of the path that you trod. So yeah, I'd unfortunately been sick the week of that marathon, and probably learned afterwards that I shouldn't have done it.
Yeah.
But I had done all the training and wanted to do it, and so had we lie down round about the 19-mile mark, and then was kind of urged to sort of keep going, but I just did nothing. So I walked pretty much to the end, and then obviously along you came.
Yeah.
And
I know that was in the last mile.
We got across the line.
I almost ran past you because I was like, he's like, I had it in my head. No, it wasn't that. It wasn't, because I was running around and I wasn't looking for you, but in my mind, like you were already finished in the pub kicking back, because I was like so slow. And then I was like, it was a double take, and I was like, no, that's not Darren. And I was like, that is Darren. So, but do you know what I always remember about that day is, look, coming across the finish line. And so whatever the chip said, we know we crossed that line together, right? And that last 365 yards, the timing was just perfect as we came in and they started playing the Proclaimers, wasn't it? Do you remember? Do you not remember? Oh, I perhaps there was other stuff going through your mind, like crossing the line. And I'm like listening to Proclaimers. It was a good day though. So what's your favourite race been? What, the one that you've actually, that you've really been able to just soak in the atmosphere, take it all in, and actually enjoy the day and enjoy the event?
What, marathon wise?
Yeah.
None of them.
Mate, you're not for anybody that's like thinking about running a marathon. You're not selling it.
Go for it. No, well,
how many have you
done?
One
overriding memory has been halfway through it thinking, what the hell am I doing? Why am I doing this? Why am I doing this again? I'm doing it again. Because I'm a slow learner. Wasn't picked up at school.
How many have you done?
Maybe nowadays.
How many marathons you done?
I'll say 5, but 4.
Yeah.
4 and 23 miles. Unfortunately, I kind of dropped out in the Manchester Marathon with a knee issue after 23 miles, which was quite, it was hard, really hard. Why did I started running because my gran said
at the time,
that I was looking healthy.
Okay.
Which I took as fat. And I kind of remember that.
To do that though, don't they, grannies?
Oh, she was lovely. She didn't. She just said, yeah. She just said it as it was, and she wasn't wrong. So the next, I thought, marathons are torturous.
Did she ever use the phrase "good arms"?
No.
Your granny?
No.
That must have just been my mum's granny.
I patted me in the
that.
So I thought, right, I'll go and run this 26 miles. I'll go somewhere where I can do a bit of sightseeing.
Yeah.
So I booked Milan, and it was 29 degrees, and found myself just staring at the cobbled streets and running for shade wherever I could find it.
Right.
And I still didn't kind of get to where I wanted to be for me, time wise. So I signed up for another one, and it was up at Lochaber, and I kind of hit the kind of time that I wanted to do. And then a friend of mine was turning 60, and he was planning to do a marathon in his 60th year.
Yeah.
So we'll do that, and he wanted to run for cancer charities.
Yeah,
that's easy to say with those measures you put. So we signed up for that, and that was Manchester. And I had an injury, which is really weird because I've not had any, well, touch wood, any injuries. So then signed up for another one, and that's when the first lockdown hit in. So
right, okay.
And that was really going to be my last one in my mind, in my head.
Yeah.
Because I do, and not that I want to put anyone off.
Are you?
No, not at all. Because actually the battle for me is within your own mind. Yeah, I'll keep running because I like eating and drinking.
So I was gonna ask you about that. You said like that having to stop in that one. How many miles was it? 23, did you say?
23.02, right. I think I was through.
So when you said that hurt, how much did that hurt, like as in physically at the time, physically afterwards, but also, like you say, what kind of mentally?
I just
you
couldn't.
give yourself a bit of a
I
hard
just
time
couldn't.
afterwards.
Yeah, well, I think I questioned. I just couldn't go any further.
Right.
With the knee, I just it
Yeah,
wouldn't
so it was
go any
done.
further.
Yeah.
But I kept on thinking, well, hold on, you've done 23. You're only 3 miles to go.
Yeah.
Why? You've seen people hobbling through.
Yeah.
And kind of think, well, did you just, in your mind, did you just cop it at that point?
Yeah.
And I didn't. I really didn't, because I was on to go sub 3:30, which for me would have been like really amazing.
Yeah.
And that would have just ticked the box for me, right?
Yeah.
Let's do it. And even, I guess, after even looking back now, the 23 miles was still pretty good going. And do I want to do it again? Don't know.
Was that the last one?
Yeah.
So do you think that's influenced the decision to sign up for the one that you were supposed to do just before lockdown hit?
It did, because.
And will that play a part in whether or not, you just decide, are you going to, as in, like, if you're going to do another one, is it going to be, right, I need to right that wrong, or
I'm not sure, because I think
that demon, or I'm interested, because I know,
do you know what, I don't think I really want that pressure, because when I first started running, as you say, what's been your memories? I remember I just decided to do the Glasgow half.
Yeah.
And when I finished it, like the next week, someone said to me, "Oh, what was your time?"
Yeah.
I told them my time. And they went, "Oh, that was really good." And I was thinking, I have no idea. Like, actually, honestly, just was running.
Yeah.
I think the fact that I had managed to kind of shift a bit of the weight my gran was talking about.
Yeah.
Kind of was the main thing for me. And also, I convinced myself at school that I couldn't run.
Yeah.
Like, I just actually couldn't run. There was something. It's about like I couldn't do higher maths.
Right.
Like, convinced myself. And actually it was wrong.
Do you think
these teachers back in the day?
Yeah. Do you think since like lockdown hit, have you, I guess, like how's your fitness regime sort of like been affected? It's like a lot of folk kind of gone like, oh, right, just stopped exercising. There's like a lot of different ends of the spectrum, isn't there? Like lockdown, a lot of people gone down the super fit route. How has that been like for you with your training and stuff?
I just kept going.
You kept going?
I try not to.
What sort of
I try not to
distances?
talk about like being super fit.
Yeah.
Because I don't see myself as being super fit.
You just enjoy it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I know it is keeping me fit.
Yeah.
Just as well, because the amount I can pack away, I'll be rolling about. So that distance, I don't know, about 34 miles a week probably. Yeah. Just
are you still, now that they're back at school, are you doing the back into doing the sort of alternating running?
Yeah, just use it as my commutes.
Yeah.
So just kind of a good thing to do.
Good to kind of shake it up and get the old
sometimes for me it's easier because I've just ticked the box and I've done it. I've got to work or I've got home from work, and otherwise I'm not doing either.
Here's a question for work before we I think I might have missed something there. I think I might have missed something just there, right? See, Karen says to me, she was like, sometimes, like, we had this conversation earlier on today, like, oh, a question comes to my mind, and I go, right, I must remember to ask you that question. And part of the grey matter that's holding on to that question to ask you misses the last 10 seconds of what you've said. She says to me, I missed sometimes. So, what was the last thing that you said? Now, which 10 seconds ago is now probably about 2 minutes ago as I've described that. But what was the last thing that you were just saying there? Very specifically. Because I think it was important.
No idea. Never going to give you up. I'm loving angels instead. I'll like my shitty song.
All I've done is just a cheeky little segue into the next question that I wanted to ask you, which is not musically related. What's it like being part of the family?
Great. That's what makes it great. that there, sing it. I guess because you feel you're part of the family.
Yeah.
You don't feel like you're just a son-in-law or a brother-in-law. You actually feel like a brother and a son.
Yeah.
So I don't know. For me, that's family.
Yeah.
I kind of probably love you, lots and all.
You kind of got no choice.
Music and all.
Not got much choice. What does that word? What does that word? So that's like, you know, what's it like being part? But what does that? What sort of values and you know, emotions? You know, you say love, warts and all. What does family? What does family mean to you at its core?
That they'll be there no matter what.
Yeah.
Yeah. Absolutely. Like kind of sort of unquestioning.
Yeah.
As well. Yeah. I get your protector.
Yeah. And as you've got older, because when we started this podcast, very much aimed at sort of my ex-forces kind of ex-forces colleagues, that I would say, but a lot of the language that we kind of use, and for obvious reasons, my ex-forces family, right? We talk about, you know, family and brotherhood and all of that sort of thing. So, what's your thoughts on the, you know, family bonds out with the what would be the word, blood relations? Do you know what I mean?
I don't know. I think for me, it's about people that you meet, that you come into contact with, that stay with you.
Yeah.
And sometimes it might be that you have a relationship with, and I mean that kind of broad sense, relationship with for like a period of time, and then that might move and it might change.
Yeah.
And then you might have somebody else or other people that prove that. And I don't know. Relationships, basically, people that you click with, people that look out for you, people that again, which is the same as what I said about your actual blood family. It's like people that will look out for you, that will look after you, that are, you know, kind of on your side, and that will accept you, no matter what.
Do you believe that like the kind of planets aligning and all of that, for like, you know, everything happening for a reason and people's paths crossing at the time that they do, kind of, you know,
I kind of sound
interwoven
like my mum stroke my gran, like, you know, what's for you won't go by you. Yeah, definitely. Because I don't think you should hope that there's anything else out there. I think you should just, well, as far as I'm concerned, take everything as it comes, and, you know, see where it takes you. Because you're only here once, so, you know, there's no point trying to kind of manipulate that. In my opinion.
See, that's leads on to a great question, which is why we've kind of called this the JFDI podcast. We talk about like only getting one chance at life. Is there one occasion in your life, or more, but one that just jumps out, where that you can think, do you know what? You know, we spoke earlier on about your job and kind of like, you know, what some people would see as like a step back, but you were like, actually, the possibilities, you know, of just, you know, going for it. Is there another occasion that you can think where actually it was a, you know, might call it a gamble or a calculated risk, or a instance where you were like, I just have to fucking do it? And you can kind of go, yes, I'm glad, because I think there are all moments in our life where we've just fucking done it and actually it didn't pay off. but is there a time where you think, had to grab that bull by the horns, and wow, I'm so glad that I did now, 5 years down the line, or 10 years down the line, or 40 years down the line?
Like, that's a difficult question, isn't it? Because there might have been numerous times where that's had to happen. I guess just what you took me back to the decision about job and career. For me, that's probably the biggest one.
Yeah.
Definitely. But so glad that I did it.
Yeah.
Then, because it wouldn't have been good for me or whoever I was going to work with or lead at the time to try and pursue something else. And I kind of wholeheartedly mean that. And I'm not looking for any kind of, sort of people saying, "Oh, well, that's a shame. You should have done this job." Yeah, I know I could have possibly pushed myself on, but for me, that was kind of, and not that it was a gamble, because it wasn't a gamble at all. I wasn't giving up a job.
Yeah.
I was just realigning what I wanted to pursue.
Magic. You see, the other thing that I was going to kind of go, what more so than like the decision to ask my sister to marry you, and then I thought, now you've probably given that some like real serious thought.
Just as well, she's not up here, and she would tell you how it actually went down.
How did it go down?
Yeah, not as the most romantic gesture. I'll just say it was a fair and honest proposition. That's all what we'll say. I'll leave it there. You can ask her later.
It couldn't be any more unromantic than how I proposed to Karen, which was outside the toilets of the Granada in Peterhead.
See, at least that sounds good fun.
And then to make up to her, because I thought that was pretty piss poor, I bought her an engagement ring in Glasgow, and then I proposed to her outside my mum and dad's house at 52 Stewart Road. That's even less romantic. That's like, anyway, so I need to ask my sister, how did it go down? Fiona? Oh dear. Right. We've got one more song, but I do have a few more questions. The last song is a song by Boston.
Yeah.
Do you want to sing it?
No, I think everyone can sing it when you say what it is.
We'll do it on the radio. We'll do it on the radio because we're going to be on Legal Radio soon.
Okay.
So we'll do it on the radio. Do you want to introduce it? Hey, pub pickers, I'm Darren Ramsay, and this is Boston with
More Than a Feeling.
More Than a Feeling.
Yeah.
What does that conjure up in your mind?
Happiness.
Does it?
Yeah, it's kind of it's a upbeat kind of happy song.
What? I'm closing my eyes because I'm singing it in my head, and I'm trying to picture what film it was in most recently.
Oh, I don't know.
What song? Who's watching and can tell us what song? It is happy. It is a happy song, isn't it?
Yeah.
Is there any words in it that spring out to you?
No. Do you know what I was thinking about? It was like when I was climbing up here.
Yeah.
I saw some cassette tapes.
Oh yeah.
And I'm sure I had it on a cassette.
Did you?
And then realised that they'd done a second album.
Yeah,
I'm not sure there was a sub album, but yeah.
Oh man.
I don't know. I listened to that.
What was the
fairly recently as well? Like someone who was quite into that kind of style of music introduced me to some other bands round about that time.
Yeah.
Which were interesting. What
was the first record you ever bought? Well, did you buy a tape first or a single?
Do you know what? I don't know.
I
hear people talking about that.
Yeah.
I know that you and Fiona can mention it, but actually I have no idea.
No, remember?
No idea.
Crikey. Oh, do you know how did I skip over that? That's like, I almost feel like I can't ask you that. Not right now.
You need to give me another drink.
We're talking about. I might need to get you a drink. Here's one for you. It's all right because it's followed by a nice happy question. Right, we'll come back to that Boston happy feeling. Right, this is normally right at the start. Right, big mid dropper. What was the biggest mistake of your life ever?
Buying a Rover Metro. GTI 16 valve.
Oh, this is an even better question. What did that teach you?
Not to buy silly cars. Now you better ask me what did I learn from it.
Yeah, what did you learn from it? Yeah.
F all. No, I just bought better silly cars.
What's your favourite car you've ever owned?
The RS3.
And what is your absolute dream car? If you could have any car ever built
Probably a 911.
in any time, a 911.
Oh yeah. What? I know you're gonna, if you're not, don't say in here, but that one, like, from, I don't know, I'm going to say 1989.
Yeah.
I'm stuck in the 80s. That kind of green colour, that sort of olivey green.
Yeah.
Coloured one, 911. Yeah. Don't know, why did they make it in
not
such
quite
a stinky colour?
not quite British racing green, but I know the colour you mean. Yeah. Any car.
I think I can hear someone shouting. I wonder if that's from downstairs.
It might be them howling.
Yeah, probably.
They're like
laughing.
I know. They're giving it
I did get to drive one. My uncle had, my mum's youngest brother had a, once it's a 911, it was a 911, but it was some kind of special edition. It like pop-up lights and kind of side skirts, and he gave me a shot of it, and then moaned at me because I wasn't driving it fast enough, and then very quickly said, "That's enough now." So yeah, that was nice.
Excellent. Right, this question's popped into my head because it's not related to cars, but it is related to football. Because you're a massive football fan, is there a moment above all others that you remember about a football match that you've been to over the years?
Yeah, do you know what? There's a couple, and they've both probably been with you. One was to my first Scotland game.
Yeah.
And one was to a Morton game that we went to. And don't get me wrong, like, obviously there's the team that I do support, that I have seen many games and get many memories of.
Yeah.
And done quite a bit of travelling with as well. But I think that kind of, these moments take me back to probably just moments of like friendship, and like good times with friends. Like sometimes where you come out after the game and you're like, what was the score? What was the score? Maybe that's got more to say about me.
Definitely the case at Capello.
But like, I guess just that kind of like just enjoying yourself, going to an event, and that time socializing with people.
Yeah.
That's probably the biggest thing, and maybe a lot of football fans would say the same thing. About various games that they've been to.
I think I was speaking about it last week because one of my songs just kind of took me back to memories of like Tartan Army trips away and abroad, and quite often, I mean, what I do remember is that Scotland never won when I saw them play away from home. Never. Not once did they win when I saw them play away from home, but I always remember like the people that I met on the trips and the special times, the kind of bonds, like you say.
For me, like that experience, or that first experience of actually going to Scotland games, where fans from many different Scottish teams came together and were together, that was just amazing for me.
Yeah.
And then
nice feeling, isn't it?
Perhaps, and don't take this in a bad way, but like, Morton, that going to support a provincial team, you actually need, you are a supporter, a proper supporter.
Well, you have to be.
No offense to my current friends who do go to support the team, that I have a season ticket for, but I just, like, that's what I see as a fan, and that's what I see the point of it as, like the ups and the downs, and actually for Scottish fans,
you're allowed to say Rangers, Morton, nobody's gonna.
And for Morton fans,
so that
it's about supporting your team. It's about that kind of just enjoying the games and enjoying the kind of atmosphere and enjoying time with friends.
Special, yeah. What about your favourite moment on the park?
On a football park?
Yeah,
it was terrible.
So not you personally, but the moment.
But this is like going to be asking me like what my favourite songs are.
Well,
Like, I don't know, they've just changed.
well, look, the like a
we
moment,
went to
was
see
there
Scotland
was there a player?
on
Yeah,
Saturday,
yeah.
and my goodness, what an atmosphere!
Yeah.
You know, throughout the game, but also like at the end. That for me now, I've been to plenty of Scotland games where they've not won, and it's still been good fun.
Yeah.
But that was pretty tremendous on Saturday. So yeah, that's kind of. I know that's just the freshest of memories.
But then, you know, it's most recent, most prominent in your. If I'm going to ask you all sorts of like favourites, who's your favourite player of all time?
David Cooper.
Oh no! Oh my God! Now there's a player and a half. Crikey! Do you know? Still remember the goal that he scored. Was it? Did he not have to take? Did he not have to take the penalty against Wales to qualify for the World Cup? Do you remember that? You might have been too young. I know you're only a few years younger than me. Do you remember that? He had to take a penalty. It was the night Jock Stein died.
No.
Oh my God. He was a player so talented, wasn't he?
Yeah.
He used to knock him in from David Cooper.
Yeah. And there's someone who
good call.
You live every day.
I know.
Like it's your last as well. So
crikey, I know how well what was he? 30?
Young anyway.
Fell over from a
I think he did an
aneurysm.
Yeah. So
he was in the early 30s, wasn't he?
Pretty. I don't know if he was as young as that, but pretty tragic anyway.
David Cooper. Right. You read what book have you read recently that you'd recommend?
I'd recommend. Who knows? I'm going to say I'm reading something called The Science of Learning. Yeah, but I'm not reading it. I'm listening to it. It's my first book that I've actually listened to.
What was the put it another? What was the last book that you listened to that kind of blew you away? That really inspired you?
Like I read books to kind of switch off.
Yeah.
And I tend to do it more like when I'm on holiday or just trying to kind of shut down. So like I enjoy them at the time.
Yeah.
And then they're gone. They go. Yeah. And it's probably looking way back to like, you know, when I was young, like The Lord of the Rings and The Hobbit and things like that, that I actually remember, you know, reading lots of Roald Dahl stuff that's in there. Everything else. And that's possibly just a kind of measure of the kind of things that that I actually read now.
Have you watched the BFG movie?
No.
They only did it a few years ago. I went to see it at the pictures with the girls. I think did I go and see it with Heather or Charlotte? It's a good movie, actually.
Seen it anyway.
It's a good movie, especially when the Queen drinks the Frobscottle and makes her fart.
Only on this podcast.
Oh dear. Right. A few very quick questions and then I'll fill your Jack Daniels up and thank you very kindly for coming into High G's and speaking to me. This is a difficult decision. Right?
Mm-hmm.
Trumpet or Rangers?
Trumpet.
You can have a drink with one famous person, dead or alive. Who would it be?
I can still hear them shouting.
So can I.
Oh, they're on delay. That was Fiona crying there because I'd said trumpet rather than Rangers. I'm playing for time now. Famous person. Don't know.
Beer or Jack?
Jack. After beer.
Is there a city or a country that you've never visited that's kind of on the bucket list that you'd like to visit?
Probably, I'd like to go to West Coast, America.
Right.
Some of the cities there.
Me too, actually. And then nip in and watch some boxing down in Las Vegas. maybe stay for a few days. Do you reckon we get away with, like, you know, hangover style? Spoken about these. I don't think that's ever going to happen.
Well,
I think we've
you've
had
just
enough.
had your 50th birthday, so you wasted that one, didn't you? So that was an opportunity.
Oh, aye, because that could have happened.
Maybe I
couldn't
could
it?
have set up. I'll set up for mine.
There
Sounds
we go.
good.
You heard it. You heard it here first, ladies.
Yeah, sure. Leave requested.
Right. One last question. £100 million. There you go. What are you going to do with it? How are you going to spend it?
Make sure everybody I know that I like.
Yeah.
So that sounds a bit bad.
Why does it?
It's sorted.
Yeah.
And yeah, just enjoy life.
There you go. What a fantastic way to end this evening. You get to stay though, because
right, okay.
I did say, remind me, but I remembered the one thing that didn't happen, and it's probably because I ended up talking for about 2.25 hours with Dave, but I didn't manage to give him the full High G's disco effect. So we need to do that. Mr. Ramsay, thank you for talking to me in High G's. Thank you for tuning in. Do you want to wave?
That seems weird. You say this one.
Thank you for coming to visit.
Cheers, thank you.
Would you like a song played? Thank you. Well, I'm gonna. Well, we're gonna switch off, and then we're gonna put some music on.
Yeah, yeah.
And I'll fill your glass up. Tune in next week when somebody else will be here. Is
that just your age?
And that's not me trying to be mysterious. It's just that I like to keep you guessing.
You've no idea.
I've got no idea. Tune in next Thursday, 8 p.m. We'll be back here. I've not even had a drink. Right, we're out. See you later.